Brought to you in partnership with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Firework, Avalara, TGW, and Sezzle. Ranked in the top 10% of all podcasts globally, the Retail Fast Five is the podcast that we hope makes you feel a little smarter, but most importantly, a little happier each week too. Today is October 11th, 2023. I'm your host, Ann Mazinga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we are here once again to discuss the most important headlines from the past week that highlight how the physical, digital, and human elements of retail are coming together to shape the future. Chris, we're on a Wednesday again.
Yes, Wednesday again. Second week in a row. We're going to do it again next week too.
I know.
I'm excited. This midweek thing, I kind of like it. I kind of like hitting it midweek. You know, we give people coming off, they get a little taste of Monday and Tuesday, and then can go into the weekend happy and then come back the next week early. You know, it's nice. It's nice.
Well, I appreciate you making this change, because this change is actually because I am
for your
going
travel
on
schedule.
vacation with my girlfriends tomorrow.
Yes.
So
yes. Right.
I appreciate you making this shift so that we can still make the Fast Five happen, and I can be hopefully pina colada in hand.
Yeah. Where are you going
4
again?
p.m.
Tell the inquiring minds where you're headed, Ann.
I'm going to West Palm Beach. I've never been
West
there
Palm.
before.
All right, West Palm.
Just a bunch of
WPB.
moms and ladies just hanging out, just trying to shake off the cobwebs before we head into the busy holiday schedule. So
yeah. Well, how you feeling coming off Nax last week? I got to tell you, I ate more fried chicken than I have in my entire life, and my bowel is clucking. I ate so much fried chicken.
Your what is clucking?
My bowel is clucking, literally.
Ew.
Because there's just so much fried chicken. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Like, it was so good though, so yummy. But how you feeling? Are you
too
feeling,
much information, Chris.
You feeling good? Like Nax followed up by a West Palm Beach trip.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
sounds like
good taste.
Sounds like a good combination.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I mean, I thought it was really eye-opening, right down to the flight home when I got to sit betwixt. I was betwixt.
Betwixt?
I think that's how you say
in between is how you're trying to say.
When I sat betwixt two convenience store owners and got to talk the entire flight home about just about what their thoughts were and takeaways. And it was actually really interesting. Just, hearing what we heard at the conference, especially like investment in, grab and go food. Those guys are going hard on it. And then
talk about that later.
Yes.
And show, I think.
And then also the EV component too. I mean, I think we are in the industry, everybody's talking big about EV, but to hear two operators actually talking about the likelihood of them, making that investment and how soon the EV store of the future, like we talked about with Gelson's last week, might actually happen. So.
Yeah, it was cool. That was very timely. That Gelson story was really timely for that conversation. That's cool. And I looked up the correct definition of betwixt, and yes, you nailed it, Ann. I had no idea that's what betwixt meant. Yes, it is.
Can you tell, Chris,
in between two things? Yes.
Can you tell that I have been doing my daily vocabulary word? Last week I did opine. And then this week I'm using betwixt.
Well, I try to set the bar really high for the vocab, and it's something I take a lot of pride in.
You're the reason I have to do my daily vocabulary word, because Chris uses words all the time and I have no idea most of the time what you're talking about. So someday I'll get you. I'll catch up.
You elevate the bar and you never drop your standards. All right, Ann, let's do this show. And today's Fast Five, we've got news on Walmart saying Ozempic is causing people to buy less food. Scheels going big, and I'm talking like 250,000 square feet big in my hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. Incoming Macy CEO Tony Spring calling Bloomingdale's its, quote, growth vehicle. Ulta Beauty's plans to help its store associates find joy this holiday season. I can't wait to talk about that one. But of course, Ann, we begin today with coupon news out of Stop & Shop. Something I never thought I would say, but yes, coupon news out of Stop & Shop.
Got to get those coupes, baby. Yes, that's right, Chris. Stop & Shop has begun testing new in-store kiosks aimed at consumers who are, quote, digital hesitant, end quote.
That's a great quote. Digital hesitant, Ann. We gotta stop and talk about that. Digital hesitant. Okay,
yeah. I'm wondering what other blank hesitant things you can be. Like, I think that could be an entire podcast on its own.
We could do a podcast on that. Yes. Like what? Yeah, weather hesitant. I don't know. Like what's coming to mind? Like
experimentation hesitant. I don't know. There's a lot of things that go in there, but digital hesitant is what the spokesperson for the Stop and Shop chain told Supermarket News. According to Supermarket News, the new kiosk dubs savings stations, quote, provide a convenient way for consumers, particularly non-digital shoppers, to activate and load their digital coupons on their card while shopping in store, end quote. Customers can either scan their loyalty card or enter their phone number at the kiosk, and the digital coupons from the circular will be instantly activated to the shopper's Go Rewards loyalty account, the retailer said. Savings are then applied at checkout when the customer scans that same loyalty card or enters their phone number. Chris,
yes.
Are you coupon kiosk hesitant, or are you happy about this news?
This has me thinking about college all of a sudden for some reason, like that's what that phrase just made me think about, and fill in the blanks for that.
Yeah.
Friends of Bobby talk. Oh man, and where do I start on this one? But I think this is a fun one to start with today. It's a good one to start the show. We could have led with Ozempic and Walmart, but we saved that for later. But we decided to lead with this one. So, okay. So first of all, the jaded person in me would say, okay, if you're going to make your customer swipe their card at a kiosk and then preload all the digital coupons for that week, why don't you just do that anyway? Like why don't you just make that a part of your thing anyway? Because that's really customer friendly if you do that. Now, there's a whole host of reasons why you wouldn't want to do that, right? But the other point about this that I think that's really interesting is you also just have to acclimate your customers, your digital hesitant customers, to the fact that online coupons actually exist, right?
Yes.
Like I think, and because that's the starting point here, is that there are people who don't know that, and that's pretty much alluded to very like overtly in the article. Like, there are people who don't know that digital coupons are a thing.
Right.
So the kiosk is the starting point. It's the marketing vehicle. It's the physical substrate in the store to keep people into the fact that they're out there and you can stop by it and swipe your card and get them preloaded. And so for that reason, it makes sense. Like, and the brands are probably paying for it too, I imagine. So, I think for those reasons, it makes sense to do. And I would say, kiosk it till the cows come home, which is something I never thought I would say in this regard. But what do you think? I mean, do you love this too? Or are you,
are you
more
sure? For sure. I think I am pro kiosk. I am kiosk positive. I think that's what I want.
Yeah. What's the opposite of hesitant? I got to look that up.
But no, so I was just listening to this comedy special this weekend, and it was so funny because they were talking about like work from home and everything. And they're talking about the number one thing that people miss about not going into the office anymore is the printer. And I think that's so, it hits so spot on, but it's like, yeah, this is great. Cause not only can you print out coupons from this thing, but you can print out like other offers and other things. Like this is, I think, just a great resource for people that are still very analog. I think brands will see lift in purchases because while you're scrolling through and you're picking out your coupons, like there might be something that you find in the coupon list that you didn't think you were going to buy before, but now you're got me right there. You're giving me a coupon. You're in the moment of intent. I think everybody's going to see a lift from this happening. And we talked about this with somebody from Nax last week too, Chris. I don't know if you remember, but we were talking about the idea just from the brand perspective again, like why does your Cheerios coupon only work at one place? Like, why can't you get your Cheerios coupon loaded onto your phone so that you can use that at any retailer that you want? And so I think that, this could even be another opportunity for brands to say like, hey, if you're just interested in getting this offer, like maybe this is a place where you can print it. Maybe it's another resource. If you don't spend it that day, like you still have that connection with that brand and still have the opportunity. So I love this. I think it's a great idea.
That would definitely be consumer friendly if they were able to go that way. So yes, and I looked it up too. The correct antonym for hesitant would be confident or decisive. So you are
confident,
kiosk confident, or kiosk decisive, or digital confident and digital decisive.
I feel like that's a deodorant commercial. Like I'm kiosk confident.
There is so many miles with which we could go down this road of this joke and riff on it, but let's keep going for the sake of our listeners.
That's a good
number
idea.
2. Walmart says that Ozempic is making people buy less food. My man crush, Ann, my man crush, my retail man crush, the great
he was
John
out there
Ferner,
with his flow talking about this.
He was,
week.
yeah, he's got some flow going. He's got the hockey hair. But anyway, my man crush, John Ferner. I have no idea why that slipped out. The chief executive of Walmart US said recently, quote, "We definitely do see a slight change compared to the total population. We do see a slight pullback in overall basket, just less units and slightly less calories," end quote. According to Bloomberg, Walmart has been studying changes in sales patterns using anonymized data on shopper populations. Of course, it's anonymized, evaluating the purchasing changes among people taking the drug against those who aren't taking the shot. And while Fernald also did say that it's too early to draw any definitive conclusions about the appetite suppressing drug, and are you buying into this story?
Man, this was such a hot topic this week. I don't know if it was just a slow news week or what, but everybody
I think it was a slow news week.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm still.
And it's just a hot drug too. I think.
Yeah.
People love this drug.
Yeah. I'm still pretty skeptical of the true impact of, I think, this correlation, and John Ferner saying it too. It is something, though, that I think that everyone from CPG companies like Cheez-Its and Pringles, who are also saying that they're seeing impacts from this drug's proliferation around the U.S. I think it's important for people to be thinking about what the investment is in personalization, I think. And by people, I mean like retailers, from convenience store retailers all the way to grocery retailers. Like, what does this mean? And if you're invested in getting this data back, seeing these drops in sales, whether it's from Ozempic or it's from, like the convenience stores industries are seeing with a reduction in the purchasing of tobacco products or even like sugary drinks and snacks. What investment have you made in order to quickly adapt to and start to personalize offers for the other products that this is resulting in an increase in purchase in? So, if people at Walmart are buying less junk food, how are you personalizing that experience so that you can offer fresh food or other health foods or fitness goods or apparel or even beauty that might become more prevalent for consumers who are changing their behaviors? And so that's what I think the real story is here, is like, how are you investing in being able to make those real-time changes to the personalization of shopping experiences and offers that you're giving your customers, whether it's Ozempic or not?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, it's just back to roots merchandise. It's back to roots retail. It's like balancing your merchandising to what the population needs, and from the brand side, the CPG side, altering your product mix or your portfolios to give the customers what they need, given the fact that the dynamics are different in terms of what they want on the shelf as well. So, yeah, I mean, and for me, I think the story is interesting, but I think you always, with every story, now we always tell the listeners to do this, with every story, you have to ask, what would compel the person that's giving you this information to share it, right? What is their motivation? So it does make me wonder. The jaded side of me does make me wonder if Walmart isn't priming the pump for a sales slowdown, right? Especially when you consider that the guy who used to hold John Ferner's position, former Walmart US CEO Bill Simon, came out literally yesterday and said that consumers are starting to quote unquote buckle, right? Yeah. So that's happening at the same time. Yeah. And this guy's he's got to be clued in on what's going on at Walmart. So now, with that said, I think Walmart should be able to piece apart the data in the way they've described. That should be pretty straightforward. So my guess is that they are seeing some impact. And John Ferner, I think, I have a ton of respect for him. He's not going to say something that isn't true, for the most part. And so, like, I think it probably is happening to some degree. And like you said, we just don't know the full impact of it, or over the long haul, what that's going to mean either. Right. So the motivation is still the real question here. But the other point I would mention, and you kind of talked about this a little bit, but I think it was a really great point you brought up yesterday, so I wanted you to talk about it even more, is like, what's the impact going to be on this across retail more broadly, and particularly the convenience store industry? Because the convenience store industry is going heavy into prepared foods. Yes. And so this is going to make that a much more uphill climb for that industry. And also, you think about Dollar General, them going into food. That's going to become more difficult too if this starts to take hold across the nation, as it's being talked about or purported to be doing right now. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that
again, it goes into like, how are you adapting to the trends, and how are you trying to make up for a slow of business sales? I mean, I'm sure this happened when you were a merchant, Chris, with like, like what was the Atkins diet? Like there's always these trends that are going to change and impact. So like how are you investing in being agile and being able to provide an offering? The convenience store angle, investing in prepared foods, like that's concerning, because that's a hell of an investment to start putting kitchens into these convenience stores and all of these things. And if that doesn't pay, or you're not set up to provide the right food offering that your consumer is demanding, like that's where I think this gets to be somewhat concerning.
Yeah, the other interesting part about, like, you talk about the trends of merchandising. Yeah, like Atkins is a great one. Those always like move one category up and another category down.
Yeah.
The difference here, though, is you're talking about entire amounts of food being consumed being less.
Yeah.
Everything moving down. So that's what's different about this, and that's what's really intriguing about it. And that's why I think your point is dead right. There's going to be a ripple effect here, particularly if inflation keeps happening too, because you've got less units from inflation. If you're going to have less people buying less units because they're not as hungry across the nation, then yeah, that's going to be pretty impactful. So net, this story, I think, while it's getting a lot of attention, probably deservedly so, wouldn't you say, Ann? I mean, I think as we sit here and talk about it out loud, there's a lot going on here over the long haul if this drug continues to do what it's saying it can do. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of things that can impact, like it's definitely something to watch. The economic impacts of this drug are something to watch, and why it's getting so much attention, because whether or not it's being paid for by healthcare providers and what in different states and all these things, like there's so much fluctuation happening as this drug continues to expand across the country. The use of this drug, it continues to expand and contract. I mean, I think that's the interesting thing too. Like this drug was getting put out there and anyone could use it. And you and I have even seen like our insurance company saying like, look, we're not paying for this drug anymore. And we've seen multiple reports, as soon as you stop taking this drug, then the increase in food demand comes back. So it's like, again, how are you as a retailer set up to really be as flexible as possible to the changing consumer demands that are getting thrown your way?
It's smart that Walmart's watching this too. Like if they're watching the data to the degree that they are, it's smart. It's really, really smart and cagey.
All right, let's go on to headline number 3, Chris. Scheels has opened a 250,000 square foot store in the Phoenix metro area. So happy holidays, Chris. You're going to be able to have one hell of a time when you go back home to Phoenix for a Scheels experience. According to Chain Store Age, the North Dakota-based chain this week opened the store at Macy's Chandler Fashion Center, and it even comes with its own Ferris wheel, a saltwater aquarium, and a wildlife mountain, as well as sneakers, team sports gear, and fishing and hunting equipment. Opening day was on September 30th, according to Macerich, and it drew tens of thousands of shoppers to the store, which also employs more than 400 associates. Chris, are you going to be checking this out, and what are you going to do first? Go to the Ferris wheel or the wildlife mountain?
That's a good question, Ann. I am, and Chandler's really close to it's right next to Tempe too, where my hometown is, where I hail from, where I'm planning to be in over the holidays, Ann, this coming December. So so if I get the chance, I might head over there and check it out. I don't know. I don't know if I'd go for the aquarium or the Ferris wheel. I think I'm probably more of a Ferris wheel guy than a stand and look at the aquarium guy. Definitely more of a Ferris wheel guy than a climb a mountain kind of guy, because that's just not my thing. I don't go on belay, and
I can see you reaching the summit and just saying to everyone, hello.
I can't even say on belay with a straight face, because I can't say what I can't spell, and so anyway, but getting back to the actual insight of the headline and why we picked it this week, I love this story because I think it answers the fundamental question, which we always talk about on the show, which is, why am I coming to a physical store to shop? Ferris wheels, aquariums, even freaking mountains answer that question for the Scheels customer. And it's not the first time they're trying this either, so they know the recipe works, because when you sell non-differentiated products, you have to have a hook like this. Which, again, when we compare it to last week's show where we talked about Macy's, is starkly different than why I would choose a smaller Macy's store over a larger one, especially when you consider that the selection is actually bigger in the larger store. So I have more to choose from. So,
yeah.
And so then if you get back to the answer of Macy's, like, well, you get better merchandising and better service. Well, that's an operational problem as opposed to an entire reason to build an entire fleet of new, smaller stores. Just fix the operations and it's a better path forward is what I'm saying. So like, that's why I love this story, because you got the small side. These guys are saying, F that. I'm going bigger. I'm going bolder. Aquariums, fish, hatcheries, whatever, you name it, I'm doing it. And I love that.
I don't know that hatcheries is included, but I agree with you.
I'm extrapolating, that's right.
Yes. What I find the most fascinating about this is exactly what you said, Chris. Like this Scheels is going into an old Nordstrom, and they had to add on to the Nordstrom anchor 100,000 square feet to make this concept work. So I think it's so interesting when we see Macy's going small and Scheels, Dick's Sporting Goods, all of these companies, going, even Bass Pro Shops had an announcement this week that they're going into another large format store in Arizona. So I think that it gets to like, yes, this does work if you can get people in and you can bring in, possibly bringing in a new stream of revenue, hatcheries potentially. But I like in the case of Dick's Sporting Goods, like we started going to Dick's Sporting Goods weekly now to do batting cages. Like not even necessarily. I mean, we are buying other stuff when we're in there, so it's working. But like this is a whole new destination just to go in and be able to have, the opportunity in a cold weather climate to be able to do these types of things, which Scheels is doing too, like Ferris wheels, aquariums, like all these things make sense. And I think that, I'm going to continue to ask, especially like we did an interview with Placer AI's Ethan Chernovsky yesterday, and his data is showing that visits were down to the sporting goods and specialty stores. And so I'm curious to see if more and more of these get bigger and have more attractions, if that starts to drive more traffic through and increase those numbers of people visiting retailers like this, in these large format stores and in malls or wherever they might be.
Yeah, I think it's the way to go if you're the category killers like these guys are. It makes sense. And to the point, like why are we stopping in aquariums? Like, why don't we just go all in on fishing? Like, why don't we stock lakes with salmon inside these stores and teach people how to fish? I would actually take my kid to do that, because I'm never going to a real lake to show my kid how to fish, like, ever. But anyway, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate mail for that. But it's true, man. Like, I actually would maybe go do that inside a store, but I have no idea what the logistics of that would be. But hey, food for thought, Bass Pro and Scheels, make it happen. All right, headline number 4, which is kind of an interesting tangent off that last headline. So Macy's incoming CEO, Tony Spring, has gone on record calling Bloomingdale's Macy's quote unquote growth vehicle. According to CNBC, Spring told CNBC's Jim Cramer the company is leaning into the recent success of Bloomingdale's. Spring said in the interview with Cramer that the company's smaller versions of Bloomingdale's, known as Bloomies, have been successful, and that it's, quote, all about curation of product and the delivery of a better experience for the customer. Retail is theater, end quote. Spring also said, Bloomingdale's is our growth vehicle. That doesn't come at the exception of Macy's, because we're talking to different customers and we obviously can learn from one another without becoming one another. So, Anne.
Yes.
Scheels is getting bigger. Bloomies is getting smaller. Scheels is getting bigger. Bloomingdale's getting smaller. What do you think?
Smaller.
Is Spring right in his call out that this is a growth vehicle for them? What do you think?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think you look at, for the longest time, you've had Nordstrom taking all the share in this space. They have been, condensing the sizes of their stores so that they can be in more places. We've seen concepts like Nordstrom Locals, and I think there's enough TAM to have another player in the mix. And that's why Bloomingdale's has been seeing such success with this. So I'd say, like, even if it's just another destination, even for the purposes of picking up product that you're ordering online from Bloomingdale's and trying on, like Nordstrom's done with their rack stores. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've used that service alone just to avoid like going to the, the large Nordstrom that's 25, 30 minutes from us. Like, I think this is a great opportunity for Bloomingdale's to really continue to expand and to get penetration in markets that they're not already in. Plus, I also like the potential. They haven't started talking about this yet, but I still like the potential for the off-price sector that they haven't started exploring yet with this smaller format Bloomies concept too. Like, you
That's
see how well Nordstrom Rack does in those markets, and I think that, like, the more Bloomingdale's there are, you have more inventory that's out there. You have potential for like an off-price market that I think would be a step above like the TJX or Marshall's offering that is there right now. So I think there is, I agree, there's a ton of growth potential here.
That's an extrapolation too. And VC alert, you dropped TAM in that. You said
TAM,
yeah, and
TAM.
Wow. First time ever, I think you've used that acronym, TAM. Nicely done. Nicely done. Oh man, I got to keep up. I got to keep up with you today, man.
I know.
Jesus. All right. So, here's my thoughts. Like, so people are going to accuse me of talking out of both sides of my mouth after last week and the incredible shade I threw at Macy's, but I got to tell you, I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth. And it comes back to what I said before. It comes back to the why, Ann. And the why in this case is around access to the Bloomingdale's experience. Macy's has over 500 stores throughout the US. Bloomingdale's, I looked it up, has 35.
Yeah.
35.
It's not enough.
It's not enough, which means most of America has never experienced the high-end shopping of Bloomingdale's, of what it's like to shop a high-end experience of Bloomingdale's. So Macy's will continue to get squeezed in the middle by off-price, Target, Walmart, but Bloomingdale's, they can occupy the high end.
Yeah.
And they can go smaller. They can lever up the truly differentiated aspects of the customer experience in more locations and in a right-sized business model that works for the 21st century and works for 21st century America and can be located where the consumers are. I see no risk to this side of the strategy. So I think he's dead right. And hopefully he's the right guy to lead this, because we have not been kind to Macy's leadership over the last few years. But, I was asked, like, what would you do? And I said, like, I would actually do what this guy's doing. I think this makes sense. Right.
Yeah, I agree. Like, what is there a purpose for Macy's still? Like, I think Bloomingdale's has the most potential. They are the biggest growth opportunity for that group right now. I think you're 100% right. We need more Bloomingdale's, and I will be there to shop them when I get them.
I would definitely make that part of them. If we had one like up here on 50th, like for those that don't know, 50th in France, we live very close to it. It's a nice area, and there's really small, great stores. If we had one, I would be in there all the time. 100% I would.
All right. We're lobbying for it, Chris. We'll see if it happens. I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah, Dinovic, make it happen. Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, we have headline number 5 next. Ulta wants to lean into joy this holiday season. Chris, I'm going to tell you what exactly I mean. According to Retail Wire, Ulta Beauty has launched the Joy Project, a long-term initiative focused on helping consumers find, embrace, and experience joy in partnership with best-selling author, motivational speaker, and podcast host Mel Robbins. I wonder if she's related to Tony Robbins.
Yeah, I have no idea.
The Joy Project is kicking off with the release of the Joy Study, third-party research commissioned by Ulta Beauty with the goal of sparking a conversation about the barriers people face in achieving joy and how to overcome them. While 85% of people wish they felt a high level of joy in their lives, only 58% of people report feeling that way. And negative self-talk was one of the top barriers for 73% of those polled. And 70% of those experiencing it don't recognize negative self-talk when it's happening. Ulta plans to tie these findings back into its training program for all 53,000 Ulta Beauty associates to help them change the way they think about themselves and to empower shoppers to do the same. Chris, we saved it till the end again. The A&M put you on the
right.
Of the
week.
My
gosh. Yeah, I almost forgot.
But this week, it's more of a statement to which to react. And here it is. A&M says, irrespective of any connection to retail sales or business strategy, we commend Ulta Beauty's efforts to drive positive energy and traction in the battle against mental health struggles. We wish them and their customers well. Chris, what are your thoughts on this sentiment from A&M?
Oh, God, that's it's kind of a mic drop moment here in the show, right? It's hard to know, it's kind of like thinking to myself, man, I gotta articulate this right. I hope I can do it well. I don't want any negative self-thoughts coming in. And, for me, I agree 100%. I actually like that they're doing this a lot. Because I think having a purpose, particularly at the field level that everyone can understand, rally around, recite, is vital. And what better purpose is there? I agree with A&M's core to their statement. What better purpose is there than finding joy?
Yeah.
Like, I can't argue against joy.
No one can argue against joy. Like, are you kidding me?
No, you can't argue against joy. Maybe an almond joy, but not joy, And so kudos to Ulta for investing in joy and in their teams, because I mean, when I sat back, as I was thinking about this yesterday, I wish we had more headlines like this.
Yeah.
We never hear headlines about, we are investing in this training program for our employees to make their lives better. And I hope it works. I really do. I hope the team gets rallied around it. They get inspired by it, and they want to talk about it. Cause I think that's the proof point that if it's working, that we're going to want to see in the market, and that Ulta is going to ultimately want to see. But what do you think? You're a little, I'm curious where your head is on this.
Say some things. So
you're gonna say some things. Okay, good. As a podcast host, I'm glad you're gonna say some things. That's good.
So all right. I love this for the employees. I think that it's great. And yes, you should absolutely be focused on how you empower employees, you make them feel better. Like I commend the investment in the employee side of this. The thing I'm not super jazzed about, we'll say, is like the fact that then the employees are supposed to be like integrating this into their conversations with the customers. That part to me feels a little tone deaf, I guess. I think that Ulta, if you're focusing on the right places, investing in your consumers, but a big part of their day-to-day joy in working also comes from like having the ability to get the stuff done that they want to get done in the day, or that they're tasked with, and having less stress at work. And so I still think that while these things don't have to be mutually exclusive, I still think that there should be more focus on the investment of how are you investing in technology to help make the store operations better, the day-to-day stress be less for these employees, and not necessarily focus on them trying to be a psychologist for the customers. I don't know that as a customer of Ulta, I need you to tell me about negative self-talk. I think I'd like you to tell me about how you can recommend the best product for me, and then help me get into the store and out of the store as easily and simply as possible. And I think some of that naturally, when you invest in your associates, like that's going to come out naturally in conversation. I don't know that I'd be spending time as Ulta, like telling my associates to have this conversation with that's my customers, but that's just me.
I know that is just you, but that's what I love about it though. I love that it's not an investment in technology. It's just an investment in the team and the purpose and the mission. And I think if you can get the team bought in on their job is to spread joy to each other, and most importantly, as is read in this article, to themselves. Yeah. To find joy in yourself, that will naturally translate itself over to your customers.
I agree with that.
Over time, So, all right, well, if you agree with that, on that nice kumbaya note, let's go to the lightning round.
All right, Chris, let's do it. Question 1. Meta announced they partnered with celebrities like Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg to voice AI chatbot assistants. Which celebrity would you want to communicate with on the regular in AI form?
Oh man, that's so easy. I mean, my heart goes out for Minka Kelly, and so she could be real, she could be virtual, 100% anyway. It's a-okay with me, Ann.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Question 2, Mars Wrigley opened up an unattended autonomous shopping experience on the campus of Mrs. Omnitalk's alma mater, UNLV, with the help of Zippin. What is the one item that would keep you coming back to an autonomous college store as a college student over and over again?
Oh, probably as a college student.
Careful.
Yeah, that I can say on this podcast. I would say coffee or Red Bull, or something like that. Like I would be focused on making sure that anything energy related, energy bars, I guess in the case of Mars Wrigley, but like something that's going to keep me pumped up and awake for those all-nighters.
She had a highly caffeinated college experience. That's what we're to take away from this.
Among other things. But yes, for the purposes of this podcast and keeping it PG, yes, we'll say that. Yes. Chris, a Florida woman, this never ends well when a headline starts.
No,
with
it really
a
doesn't
Florida
when you start
man
a headline like that,
or
Ann.
a Florida
I'm
woman.
curious where this is going.
A Florida woman was arrested for leaving Walmart without paying for her items because she thought the security guard was trying to holler at her, according to Marion County's Sheriff's Office. Chris, when was the last time someone tried to holler at you, and what were they trying to get you to do?
Holler. So are you saying holla or holler? Because like Gwen Stefani, and I don't holla back. All right, Crocs unveiled a new cowboy boot, which features a shiny, we're just going to move on.
Yeah.
Features a shiny Croc embossed texture, Western-inspired stitching, and a spinning spur charm attached to the backstrap of the boot. And if you could have any one slogan embroidered into a pair of cowboy boots, what would it be?
Oh, man. Made for walking, probably.
Made for walking?
Put those in. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's boring.
That's the easy way out. Yeah.
Or like, don't holler at me. Maybe that's what I would like. Holler at me, and these boots are going to be on your back. Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Happy birthday today to Martha McIsaac of Superbad. Do you know who that is, Ann? That was Evan's girlfriend, or Evan's Schools. Do you remember her?
Yeah. Okay.
The one person in that show.
You're the only person that knows that.
She's like the only person in that movie that never went on to do anything else. But and also the young Indiana Jones, Sean Patrick Flannery, if you can remember that show from back in the day. And to the woman who, Ann, can head up my fictional movie studio anytime, the often underappreciated Constance Zimmer.
These are only for you. No one knows who any of these people are.
There are people that know, because this section gets called out quite frequently in my LinkedIn chatter. All right. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it OmniTalk, the only retail media outlet run by two former executives from a current top 10 U.S. retailer. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news. And our twice weekly newsletter tells you the top 5 things you need to know each day, and also features special content that's exclusive to us, and we do it all just for you. And we try really hard to make it all fit within the preview pane of your inbox. You can follow us by simply going to youtube.com/OmniTalk Retail. That's youtube.com/OmniTalk Retail. Thanks as always for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast, or on that YouTube URL that I just mentioned. So until next week, and on behalf of all of us at OmniTalk Retail, as always, be careful out there.
The OmniTalk Fast Five is brought to you in association with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Firework. Firework is the largest video commerce solution built for the world's leading brands. They empower brands with shoppable and live stream video on their own websites where people like to shop. Put your commerce in motion with Firework. You can find out more at firework.com. And Avalara. Avalara makes tax compliance faster, easier, more accurate, and more reliable for 30,000 plus businesses and government customers in over 90 countries. Avalara leverages 1,200 plus signed partner integrations to power tax calculations, document management, tax return filing, and tax content access. Visit avalara.com to improve your compliance journey. And TGW. Revolutionize your grocery supply chain with TGW. Their experts tailor automation solutions to your needs, ensuring you have the edge. Work with TGW before your competition does. Discover more at tgw-group.com. And Sezzle. Sezzle is an innovative buy now, pay later solution that allows shoppers to split purchases into 4 interest-free payments over 6 weeks. To learn more, visit Sezzle.com.